Hello there, Sir from 17 once again. This is going to be a little scan through 2014 and what the games I intend to be covering are going to be. So, I have a couple of websites here. Two of them only have a small amount of titles that are acknowledged, and I assume they're confirmed dates for 2014. I have another site called videogamecharts.com that's got a lot of to be announced / Q1, Q2, Q3 kind of details. So I'm going to go through that one, even though it is a bit of a clusterfuck, but we'll see how this works. So for January, looking at this, it's alphabetized as well, which is quite handy. There is a ton of stuff that, like, I didn't even know was coming out because it just looks weird. I bet it's Game of the Year editions and things like that. It's a bunch like Hearthstone, Heroes of Warcraft. That's that card game that's really popular on PC at the moment. Hotline Miami. Like what the fuck is that? No idea how that game is being released in 2014, but apparently is. Loco Cycle. I thought that was out. Killer Instinct. Isn't that out? Strange. Very strange. Peggle 2, that is out, I know that much. But we need to see the ones that apply to me. Tobuscus Adventures. Really? What the fuck? Well, come on now. Rainbow Six Patriots. That is some serious to-be-announced shit right there. That's just kind of crazy. So, I'm going to go to the page with the guaranteed ones for January to see if there's anything here, and all it says on here is Dragon Ball Z Battle of Z, which I have no interest in covering. This is probably a shitty beat-em-up. So we move on to February. So nothing in February with the looks of that, guys. February has Lightning Returns on the 2nd. I'm sorry, the 14th, because the fucking American dates are drunk. I'll be covering that on Xbox 360. I've got high hopes for it. I really enjoyed the demo. It could be really interesting. I have no idea if it's going to be any good, but we'll soon see. That is, 2 weeks and a month away. Then on the 28th is Lord of Shadow 2, the newest Castlevania, which I will be covering. Unless I absolutely hate it, which there's a very big possibility that that might be the case. Either way, I'm excited. And then on here is the American date for Yaiba Ninja Gaiden Z, which is another game I'm going to be covering in February, and I'm just going to double check to make sure there's none others that it's missed. Ooh, interesting. On here it says Thief is registered for the 28th of February, which I will definitely be covering, be it good or be it bad, just to see what the hell it is, because it seems really, really strange. So just to wrap up, Lightning Returns, Castlevania 2, Thief, and Yaiba Ninja Gaiden Z. So that's February. It's a very busy month, which is nice because it's been dead recently, and there's nothing worse than dead time. But moving into March, South Park and the Stick of Truth, it says on here, is coming out on the 7th of the 3rd. Definitely covering that. If anybody doesn't know, I owe a lot of my sense of humour to South Park because I grew up with it, and I really, really enjoy the show. I enjoy the creators. I enjoy the creators of anything they make, basically. It's generally really, really good, and this is no different. Then on the 13th it says Titanfall. I think I'll have an next-gen console by then, and if not, this is a fantastic excuse to get one. So I intend to cover Titanfall in some respect. It all depends on A, if there's anything worth covering aside from multiplayer, and B, if I like it. Because I'm not the biggest competitive, first-person shooter multiplayer guy. I can do it and I can play it with friends and enjoy it, but I'm not the guy who spends 40 days playing Modern Warfare 2 or 3 or 5 or however many there are going to be. Just not me. Then on the 20th, we have Metal Gear Solid 5, The Phantom Pain. The only good thing about Dark Souls 2 being in this month, which is obvious I'm going to cover Dark Souls 2, we don't even need to mention it, is the fact that I've completely not seen when Metal Gear Solid 5 comes out. Because I am a massive Metal Gear fan, and I will definitely be covering that one. And then on the 21st, Final Fantasy X and X-2 High Definition Remaster. That'll probably be the next RPG playthrough I do, guys, unless through popular demand, my feed gets flooded by thousands of people saying, we need this. That will be the next one, Final Fantasy X. Not too bothered about X-2, it's a fun game, but it's not my favourite. But 10 is a really, really good one. So I'm just going to double check the other website to make sure that I haven't missed anything for March. Dark Souls 2, Titanfall, South Park Stick of Truth, yeah, and obviously Metal Gear Solid 5. That's pretty much March covered. Another exciting month there, big time. So April. April's a little lesser known. A lot of this is Q1 information, so this might not be technically true. But on the books here, we have that Daylight game, which is that new zombie survival horror next-gen thing, which could be interesting, but it's an exclusive, I believe, for the PS4, so if I have a PS4 by then, will probably dictate where my life is, because I'm probably going to go towards the Xbox One just because of my gamer tag, which is a pretty terrible reason to do it, especially when you consider that, looking at it right now, I think the PlayStation 4 is probably by far the better console. It just doesn't have any games at the moment, which I'm really hoping they change, and with things like this, maybe they will, you know. Especially with the next one mentioned, Infamous Second Son, that's a big one for Sony there, and I've got to be honest, the Infamous games are great games, but they've never really tickled me, because I'm not much of a sandbox guy, but this one looks superb, so I might give it a try. Definitely if I have a PS4, I'd be stupid not to, but I can't promise anything on that one. And then there's really nothing for the rest of April. I'll see what the other site has docked for it. Nothing on this site, so April's an interesting month. We don't really know much about it yet. Hopefully it'll improve. And the rest is really skeptical, so May, nothing. June, nothing. It's been announced anyway. July, bunch of Mahjong games. Gotta love that. Murdered Soul Suspect, that looks a strange one. I have no idea what it's going to be, but it could be okay. It says Q2 Watch Dogs, so maybe that's what that is, and depending on what Watch Dogs is like will depend on whether I cover it. I'm really hoping there's a challenge aspect, because if it's like Assassin's Creed, then I'm not going to touch it. But if it's like something, for instance, like The Witcher 2, where it's quite open worldy as it seems, but it's, you know, funnels you down a path on the storyline, then I might be able to cover just the story as opposed to the side quests and things, which could be interesting. If not, I'll just make some videos covering it, you know, just for the sake of having a bit of Watch Dogs content. That all stems on whether or not I like the game. For all I know, I could hate it. I'm hoping I don't. It looks really, really cool, but we shall see. August, World of Warcraft. I have no idea what that means. How can that be? Is it a new expansion? Is it coming out on Mac? Like, what the fuck? Then there's the new Dragon Age, which I'm not a big Dragon Age guy. Maybe that will change by the time that comes out in October, or when it's meant to be October. And then we've got a bunch of stuff for 2015. How the hell do we have all these games confirmed for 2015 when we barely know what's coming out this year? Yeah, very strange, but not quite as concise as I would have liked it to be, people, but there is, in a nutshell, a blueprint for what I will be covering this year. It will obviously change as games get announced, because there was a couple of months there that we don't even know what's coming out, and really hoping that there's going to be some surprises this year, because the next gen really needs to pick up. You know, they've proven the consoles, they've sold them, that's great. There's a couple of problems that they're trying to get through. Now we need the games, now we need the experiences, now we need all the bullshit and the promises to ring truth. Well, thank you for watching, guys, and as always, you take care now.
SATCOM uplink enabled.